Emotional preparation. Here is why emotional preparation is so important. Whether we're aware of them or not, most of us have unresolved fears about birth or about the pushing phase. And I attribute this to all of the upsetting scenes that we have seen in the movies and media, where the person birthing is on their back and they're pushing as hard as they can to the count of 10, and they're sweating and they look like they're in a lot of pain, and it just does not look fun. Maybe you've heard stories from friends and family about pushing being the worst part. Let's unpack this. For starters, it's possible that these people had fear that was not resolved around pushing. If people have fear that's not resolved when they go into the pushing phase, and maybe they're not in the environment to support them in working through that fear if it comes up, they can enter the fear pain resistance cycle. This happens when someone feels pain and then they associate that pain with something bad or something wrong. So they have fear in relationship to the pain. So the pain comes up, then they feel fear in the presence of the pain, and that causes them to tighten up. And when they tighten up, it makes the pain worse. And so that's how the pain fear resistance cycle begins. Another possibility is that their experience was a product of unnecessary restrictions being forced upon them in the pushing phase. If we look back on the history of childbirth in America in intervention heavy settings, women and birthing people often experienced the most restriction and the most intervention in the pushing phase. Some people, even today, experience being told what to do while they're pushing, or even being forced in a certain position while giving birth. Giving birth in whatever position you want is a human right, and your care provider forcing you to be in a specific position while giving birth is a form of obstetric violence. Another possibility is the added challenges experienced by someone who has a history of sexual abuse. The sensation of pressure or simply being in an experience that you can't escape from has the potential to trigger unresolved trauma. Experiencing unresolved trauma during pushing doesn't mean that the pushing phase has to be grueling, because if the person birthing is comfortable feeling vulnerable and the people around them that are supporting them are able to help them work through it, they may be able to voice their experience and receive support in working through it. Someone with a history of sexual abuse may actually find pushing to be powerful and empowering, that through the experience of pushing, they were able to claim their power back. Generally, I see care providers and birth workers support this peaceful environment for active labor, but once someone moves into the second stage or the pushing phase, suddenly everyone is sent into a frenzy. The provider wants to do a cervical exam. New people start entering the room. Drawers are opened and newborn equipment is set up. Vitals are being monitored more frequently. The blood starts pumping in the birth doula and the partner as suddenly they're feeling like the anticipation of the baby coming, and the energy is shifting from this active labor calm phase to the baby's gonna come kind of place. It doesn't really seem like the ideal way to enter the pushing phase to me, because the pushing phase is the time where the person birthing needs to feel the most supported and the most calm so that they can deliver in a slow and controlled way. The truth is that pushing doesn't have to be that crazy way that we've seen in the movies. No matter your chosen birthing location, you can birth in an environment that is peaceful and calm. This kind of environment is important to maintain because oxytocin is released when the person birthing feels safe. So feeling safe directly supports the hormonal unfoldment that is needed for labor to progress. Oxytocin helps the uterus to contract. And stress hormones like norepinephrine, cortisol, and adrenaline block the flow of oxytocin. So maintaining a peaceful environment when you transition into the pushing phase will help labor progress in a good way and may also help prevent unnecessary fears from rising to the surface. Another reason why it's so important to create an environment that helps you feel confident and safe and reduces fear is that fear has the potential to cause tearing. When the person birthing is experiencing fear as the baby's head emerges, it may cause them to want to tighten their pelvic floor in the presence of the sensations of their baby moving through. Tightening the pelvic floor may prolong the pushing phase, which can increase the risk for tearing. On the flip side, If a person birthing is experiencing fear when the baby's head is coming, and so they push harder, they may end up delivering the baby much faster, and that can also increase the risk for tearing. If you experience the fetal ejection reflex while giving birth, the best thing you can do is soften into the sensations and allow your body to deliver your baby in a slow and controlled way. So, what is the fetal ejection reflex? The fetal ejection reflex is like any other reflex in the body, like sneezing or vomiting. It's a biological reflex that happens without any conscious effort or thought or control. So, when the baby's head begins to descend into the vaginal canal, they put pressure on a pressure point in the vaginal canal, which stimulates a reflex known as the Ferguson reflex, another man who decided to attach his name to another biological function of the female body. So when this happens, the body will start spontaneously pushing all on its own. So the best thing you can do when this happens is to soften and surrender into the sensations and allow your body to do the pushing on its own without adding extra force and without resisting. And the best way to do that is to overcome your fear and trust your body. Surrendering into intense sensations is not easily done while experiencing fear. Trust me, I know firsthand. If you feel confident and safe, it will be easier for you to soften and surrender. So, when your baby's head reaches a state of crowning, where the entire vaginal opening is now filled with the baby's head, slowing down and allowing the tissues to stretch will help prevent tearing. It may feel tempting to consciously add extra force in this moment to speed it up and just get the baby out. Even with my last two births where I didn't tear, when the baby was crowning, in my head I was thinking, get the baby out! As much as you can, stretch out that time as long as possible. That will really help prevent tearing. The two ways that I did this was by taking deep breaths and asking my husband to remind me to go slow when I started crowning. Check out the next lesson for more tips and tools for overcoming fear in pregnancy.